Hey, it's Drybear. Once Human is entering into its third closed beta test, and this is probably the most easily accessible test for the upcoming MMO open world survival game. However, you will have a 24-hour period to easily get into this test, and after that window closes, you will need an invite or a unlock code in order to get in. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the requirements for this registration and everything about Once Human that you may have missed up until now. First, the most time-pressing details. The PC pre-downloads will start April 2nd, which is today at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So that's very, very soon. Make sure you have your PC registration open. You can go to oncehuman.game. I'll leave a link down below. Make sure you register for the PC closed beta test 3, and the server will be available tomorrow night. So you get your PC registration done today, you get your pre-downloaded started this evening in Pacific time or Eastern time, and then the server will open tomorrow night. And keep in mind that once you pre-register, you want to log into the game and create your character before April 4th at 7 p.m. Pacific. If you don't have a character by then, you won't be able to participate in the test, and after this time period, April 4th at 7 p.m. Pacific, players who have not created a character will need to use an activation code to enter the server, even if you already registered. Played before, this new CBT is going to be a new dungeon, the Forsaken Giant. It's going to have a monolith dungeon, some new combat, new places to explore, new server adjustments, and lots of balance changes and content being added, a new silo area, a new PvE encounter where you fight a giant man bus that looks like it's straight out of Ghibli, new building, new special gameplay, invasion events, prime wars, and a myriad of other changes. But if you're brand new to Once Human, let's talk about the game. Now, survival games in general have hit a really rough go of it the last few years. We know we're just coming off the huge bait and switch that was the day before that looked awesome a couple years ago and just never came out, and when it did, it wasn't really all that great and then immediately shut down. So everyone had a huge bummer episode about that. And we've had flash in the pan survival games like Icarus, which promised a brand new experience and looked really awesome and was fun for a time, but just didn't have the lasting power. But with this being the third closed beta test for Once Human, we actually have a good amount of feedback from many different perspectives about the game, and the gameplay itself is actually quite solid. It is a survival game at base, so you will be collecting materials, you can build things out, you can upgrade your technology, add in workbenches, research things, get gear, weapons, armor. It is a third-person shooter and is set in more of a sci-fi universe. The way the game feels, at least in my weirdo head, is it's almost like Fooly Cooley and Mob Psycho 100 had a baby that was directed by Kojimbo. And trust me, when you do the tutorial, you're going to get some crazy Hideo Kojima vibes from it as well, as it's very convoluted and out there. What the gameplay is fun. If you liked the basic building in most of the recent survival games like Enshrouded, or even the more survivalist aspects of games like New World, then you'll definitely enjoy Once Human and what it has to offer. The game is based to be multiplayer with both PvP and PvE, and they are touting things like more Rust battles where you can fight other groups and fight other players, but there's also a ton of exploration that you can do, building, crafting, collecting to do the survival aspect, and they are adding in more and more invasions, PvE encounters, and dungeons and boss fights to kind of extend it more into the realm of something like Destiny that might be more of an actual PvE RPG. Now, it is a pretty large scope to be sure, and we've had a lot of misses over the last few years, but overall the feedback for this game has been relatively positive. Most people have really enjoyed the environments, the building aspects, the core gameplay aspects, and the team has been very, very communicative on what they're working on, what they're planning to do. Their schedule for testing has been quite aggressive and quite forward with everyone that's paying attention to the game, and they must be doing something right to have almost 10 million pre-registrations for the game already. Now, outside of the TPS combat where you're fighting these freaky deaky sci-fi mysterious otherworldly creatures and you're farming materials and creating buildings and doing that, there's tons of other systems that go into this game that I'm not going to get into in depth with this video, as it's more of like an intro video for the people that watch my channel. But there are vehicles that you can customize and drive, there's electricity systems to optimize your main base, there's tons of ways you can can change the layout and have entrances and reinforcements for invasions. There's water systems to help put out fires and things like that. Cleaning water, so you can have clean water coming in. There's facility operations, fishing systems where you can actually fish and get bait on a hook, put the fish out, pull fish back in, and do all kinds of interactions with this mini game. There's agricultures where you can actually mutate the crops because you're in some otherworldly land. And there's cooking systems. You can have someone in your group that's really good at getting the best food with the best food bonuses and attributes that you need in those dishes. There's also social systems like war bands and hives, which have their own inner workings and details, but just know that there are territories that you can set up between different factions of people that border in different ways. And the developer has gone on record to say that they want people to have a stress-free social environment where they can have the kind of experience that they want. So unlike a Rust server where you might get raided at the wrong time and everything destroyed and you have to worry about it, there's going to be room for people that just want to build and have social interactions with neighbors, and there are people that want to have combat and PvP and everything in between. Now, there is progression in the game that you'd expect from a survival game, like building out your resources, adding more cooking options for your main base, being able to research new technology, modifying your weapons, and even adding in talents into the game and other items that can affect the way your character works. And depending on the PvP in the game as well as the PvE encounters in the game, you're obviously going to want a pretty wide breadth of armors, weapons, guns, gears, and talents to be able to adjust how you're bringing your character to the fray for a fight that might be focused on players or PvE, or maybe even a mix, which they might even be hinting at in the future. They have added a PvP-oriented game mode that's both PvP and PvE, Cargo Scuffle, but I haven't played it myself, so I'm not sure how good this one plays out. But it is something to keep your eye on if you love these kind of open world MMOs where you have a lot of progression and building and world building on top of it. And again, to get in very easily, you have a 24-hour period to get that just right. If you don't make a character by April 4th at 7 p.m. Pacific and pre-register for it on PC, you'll miss your chance and you might have to wait for the next test. So I think that suffices for this video. I don't want it to be too long overall, but if you are interested in more Once Human coverage, comment down below or send me a message and let me know, and I'd be happy to dive in more into this game as it is quite fascinating. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.